Cruise ships feel safe by design, and most of the time they are. But there are security risks most passengers never think about until something goes wrong. From cabin doors to balcony locks to port day mistakes, these are the cruise security issues you need to understand before your next vacation begins. Number 12. Your cabin door can reveal too much. Walk down almost any cabin corridor on a busy sailing and you'll notice the decorated doors, magnets spelling out names, signs announcing anniversaries, banners celebrating birthdays, stickers identifying the family inside. People do it for fun and for practical reasons too. It makes the right cabin easier to spot after a long day on shore. The problem is not the decoration itself. The problem is what the decoration broadcasts to everyone who walks past, not just you. A personalized door tells a stranger your first names, sometimes your full surname, whether you're celebrating a romantic trip or traveling with 3 children under 10, and how many people are in your group. That is more information than most passengers would share with a random person in a hallway. Most of the people walking past your door are perfectly harmless. But on a large ship, you share a corridor with hundreds of other passengers, plus crew, maintenance staff, contractors, and the occasional person who simply wandered onto the wrong deck. Not every set of eyes on that corridor belongs to someone who has your best interests in mind. A plain door is not paranoid. It's just quieter. You still know which cabin is yours. You're simply not advertising the details of your travel setup to everyone who happens to walk by. Number 11. Not every person walking the corridor belongs there. Cruise ship corridors feel private. The carpeted floors, the low lighting, the rows of identical doors. It has the atmosphere of a residential space, and passengers respond to it in that way. They leave shoes outside the cabin to air out. They hang lanyards on the door handle. They set a bag against the wall while they rummage for the key card. None of that is unreasonable behavior in a genuinely private space. The issue is that a cruise corridor is not genuinely private. It's a shared environment with constant traffic throughout the day and much of the night. Crew members move through corridors on scheduled rounds. Housekeeping comes and goes. Engineering and maintenance staff respond to calls at any hour. Other passengers from the same deck are coming and going constantly. On many ships, particularly large ones, corridors on passenger decks are not difficult to access from the lifts or stairwells, and someone who is slightly lost or slightly motivated can end up walking a hallway without much friction. The practical lesson is straightforward. Treat the corridor the same way you would treat a hallway in a busy hotel. Don't leave valuables outside your door. Don't let your key card or any identifying item sit in the hallway. Keep the door closed when you're inside and fully shut when you leave. The relaxed atmosphere of the corridor is a design choice. Security does not come with it automatically. Number 10. Your balcony lock is not something to be casual about. The balcony cabin is one of the highlights of a cruise. Waking up to open water, drinking coffee with the door ajar, spending the late afternoon watching a port come into view. It's one of those things people book this style of travel specifically to experience. Now that comfort is exactly what makes balcony security easy to overlook. The first and most basic point is this. A closed balcony door is not the same as a locked one. Some sliding doors need to be pushed firmly to the end of the track before the latch fully engages. Passengers who close the door but not check the latch are leaving a gap that is not always visible from the inside of the cabin. Get into the habit of testing it. Give the door a firm pull after you close it. Do not leave the cabin with the balcony door partially open, even in a warm climate. The ship is moving, conditions change, and what feels like a safe gap can become a problem quickly. And if you're traveling with children, the balcony needs to be treated as a supervised space. The railing height on cruise ship balconies is regulated, but children are adaptable and curious, and the balcony is not somewhere to leave them unattended. The balcony is not a security threat in any dramatic sense. The risk is simpler than that. It's the risk of assuming something is secure because it is yours, without actually checking. Number 9. Your key card is your room key, wallet, and identity token all at once. The cruise key card does not look impressive. It's a piece of plastic, roughly the size of a credit card, and passengers often treat it accordingly. They leave it on the edge of the pool bar. They slide it into a phone case pocket and set the phone face down on a sun lounger. They rest it on the counter at the buffet while they sort out what they want to eat. On a cruise ship, though, that card controls more of your trip than most people stop to consider. It accesses your cabin. It handles all onboard charges. At the gangway, it serves as your identity document for boarding and disembarking. On some ships, it's linked to packages, dining reservations, and activity bookings. If someone picks it up, the consequences are not necessarily catastrophic. Cabin access requires the card to be read by the lock, and the system has some safeguards built in, but the disruption alone is significant. You'll spend time at guest services getting a replacement card. Charges may need to be investigated. Your movements on and off the ship may be delayed. The smarter habit here is to treat the key card the way you would treat a hotel room key combined with a contactless payment card. Keep it in a consistent place. Don't leave it visible or unattended in a public area. If you lose it, report it immediately rather than assuming it'll turn up. The inconvenience of replacing it promptly is much smarter than the inconvenience of not doing so. Now, if you're finding this useful, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We cover cruise tips, travel advice, and destination guides every week, and there's a lot more coming up that you will not want to miss. Number 8. Cabin safes protect valuables only if you actually use them properly. Every cruise cabin comes with a small electronic safe, and the majority of passengers open it, look at it, and then proceed to leave their passports on the desk for the rest of the voyage. The safe is not high-end security. It is a basic deterrent, but as deterrents go, it's considerably better than nothing, and using it takes less than 30 seconds. The items worth locking away are straightforward: passports, backup credit cards, large amounts of cash, travel insurance documents, any medication that is both valuable and irreplaceable on short notice. These are the things that, if lost or taken, will cause the most disruption to your trip. The common failure is not refusing to use the safe, it's using it for the first 2 days and then getting relaxed. By mid-cruise, the passport's back on the nightstand. The spare cash is tucked under a shirt in a drawer, and the safe sitting open and empty. That is exactly when the discipline matters most, because the habits of mid-trip are the ones that hold when you're tired, slightly distracted, or moving quickly to make an excursion. Cabin theft on cruise ships is not common. That's a fair statement. But uncommon is not the same as impossible. And the safe is there precisely for the moments when the odds do not go your way. Number 7. Public Wi-Fi behavior does not become safe just because you're at sea. Digital security is not the first thing people think about when they think about cruise travel. But vacation is exactly when most people let their online habits slip, and the consequences are the same whether they happen at home or in the middle of the Atlantic. The specific risk on a cruise is not that the ship's network is uniquely compromised. It's that passengers who would never log into their bank account on the free Wi-Fi at the airport somehow feel comfortable doing it on a ship. The setting feels contained. The network has the cruise line's name on it. That sense of familiarity does not translate into security. Travel days and the start of a vacation are also the times when people are most distracted. Devices get left on tables. Screens stay logged in. Autofill does the work so nobody has to think. All of that creates opportunities that would not exist if the same people were sitting at their own desk at home. The practical steps are modest. Update your device before you sail. Use strong passwords, particularly on email and financial documents, and avoid reusing the same one across multiple services. Do not access sensitive financial accounts on shared or public networks. Keep devices with you or locked away when you're not actively using them. None of that is specific to cruising, but cruising is when people tend to stop doing it. Number 6. Port days create the easiest opportunities for distraction theft. If there is one point on this list that cruise passengers genuinely underestimate, it is this one. The risk on the ship for most travelers is modest. The risk on a port day in a busy transit zone is considerably higher. Cruise terminals, tender points, shuttle queues, local markets, taxi ranks. These are crowded environments where passengers are juggling a lot at once. They have their phone out to navigate. They're counting family members. They're watching the clock because the all-aboard time is fixed. They're carrying more than usual: bags, cameras, cash in different currencies, sunscreen, water. That combination of distraction and visible gear is exactly what opportunistic theft depends on. Pickpockets and bag snatchers do not work hard. They work quickly and selectively, and cruise passengers standing in a busy port exit looking slightly lost are a straightforward target. The adjustments do not require a major rethink of how you travel. Carry less. Keep your most important items in a front pocket or a bag that closes properly. Divide your cash so that losing one portion does not mean losing everything. Know roughly where you're going before you step off the ship, so you're not standing still in a crowded area trying to get your bearings. The ship itself is not the riskiest part of a cruise. For many passengers, a port day in an unfamiliar city is. Number 5. I'll be back in time is how people get stranded in a port. Every cruise season, passengers miss their ship. It's not an urban legend. Ships do sail without you, and when that happens, the situation moves from mildly stressful to genuinely difficult very quickly. The typical story involves an independent excursion that ran long, a local taxi caught in heavier traffic than expected, a tender service that had more demand than anticipated, or a pickup point that turned out to be the wrong location. None of those things are outlandish. They are the ordinary disruptions of travel in an unfamiliar place, and they happen to people who were absolutely certain they had enough time. When you miss the ship, everything that felt straightforward becomes complicated. Your passport may be aboard. Your return flight connects from the next port, not the one you're stranded in. Your travel insurance may or may not cover the cost of getting yourself to the ship's next destination. Your phone's running low, and you're trying to sort all of this out in a city you've never visited before. Booking through the cruise line's own excursion program removes some of that risk because the operators are contracted to have you back before departure. Independent travel is entirely reasonable and often more rewarding, but it requires building in more margin than most people think is necessary. The safety rule is simple. Treat the all-aboard time as a hard deadline, not the suggested one. Number 4. Alcohol changes the risk profile of the whole trip. Cruise lines sell drink packages, and they sell them successfully. A flat daily rate covers unlimited consumption, and the result is that passengers drink more than they would on a land-based holiday, often significantly more, spread across a longer and more relaxed day. Now, that's not a moral observation. People are on vacation and they make their own choices, but the security dimension is worth understanding clearly. Alcohol reduces situational awareness. It slows reaction time. It affects judgment about who to trust, which route to take, and whether a situation is developing in a direction that warrants attention. On a ship, that can mean leaving a phone on a bar table without noticing, taking a wrong turn on the upper decks in the dark, or getting into a confrontation with a stranger that escalates further than it would have done sober. The specific risks are not all dramatic. Some of them are entirely prosaic. A lost key card, a misplaced wallet, a cabin door that did not close properly because the person returning to the room was not fully alert. These are small failures that compound. Each one is recoverable in isolation. Together, and over several days, they create a pattern of vulnerability. The point's not to avoid enjoying the cruise. It's simply that security awareness drops in proportion to how much attention people surrender, and alcohol accelerates that drop faster than most people account for. Number 3. Social media can announce too much in real time. Cruise ships are genuinely photogenic places, and the impulse to share is understandable. A balcony view at sunrise, a port seen from the water, a dinner that arrived looking extraordinary. These are things people want to post, and there's nothing wrong with that. The issue's not posting. The issue is posting in real time from a known location while you're still there. A public account showing your cabin view, your deck location, and a caption mentioning that you're 3 days into a 14-night sailing tells anyone who sees it a considerable amount. You are not at home. You won't be home for at least 11 more days. Here's the rough area of the ship where your cabin is. Here are the people traveling with you. For most passengers on most sailings, this won't matter. But the habit of posting everything live from a public account without thinking about what the sequence of photos reveals together is worth examining. The adjustment's not complicated. Post later rather than live where possible. Check your account settings and consider whether a public profile is the right choice for a long sailing. Travel posting is one of the genuine pleasures of a modern holiday. The question is simply whether you're doing it in a way that gives away more than you intended to. Number 2. The safest passengers are the ones who look less lost. There's a visible pattern among travelers who attract the wrong kind of attention in a port, and it has nothing to do with how expensive their clothes are or how their new camera looks. It's about uncertainty, hesitation, the signals that say, I don't know exactly where I am, what I'm doing next, or how much time I have. Standing in a busy taxi zone with a passport in one hand and a phone in the other, looking back and forth between the map and the street, is an advertisement. It communicates that you're distracted, that you have valuable documents on you, and that you're unlikely to respond quickly if something happens. Calm, deliberate behavior is its own form of protection. That does not mean walking fast or acting aggressively. It means having a basic plan before you step off the ship. Know the all-aboard time. Know roughly how you're getting back. Know what you're carrying and where it is. Have a clear answer, at least in your own head, for where you're going and how long the journey will take. Now, none of this guarantees anything. Well-prepared travelers can still have difficult days, but the combination of preparation and composure dramatically narrows the window that opportunists look for. Looking like you know what you're doing, even when the situation is genuinely unfamiliar, is worth more than most people realize. Number 1. Cruise security is mostly about habits, not headlines. The points on this list are not there to make you anxious about cruising. They're there because the gap between a smooth trip and a difficult one is almost never one dramatic event. It's a series of small lapses that accumulate over several days until something goes wrong at the worst possible moment. Think about what this list actually covers. A balcony door that was closed but not checked. A key card left on a sun lounger while someone went for a swim. A passport sitting on a desk for a week instead of in the safe. A port day with no margin built into the return timing. A public social media post that announced to everyone watching exactly where you were and that you would not be home for 10 more days. None of those are extraordinary failures. They're the sort of habits that develop naturally in a relaxed environment, because cruise lines are very good at creating spaces where relaxation feels like the only appropriate response. That's not a criticism of the industry. It's simply worth understanding that the environment is designed to lower your guard, and that a small amount of deliberate thought applied consistently across the trip changes the outcome considerably. The safest cruise passengers are not the ones who spend holiday looking over their shoulder. They're the ones who sorted out the basics before they sailed, repeated a few simple habits throughout the trip, and let the rest take care of itself. Most cruises go smoothly, and that's exactly why passengers get too comfortable too fast. The goal is not to be anxious, it is to stay aware. Now, if this helped you think differently about your next sailing, hit like and subscribe. There's a lot more coming that you will not want to miss. Our next video is already waiting for you. Your voyage is just beginning.